These are the real and raw stories of business owners who have ventured off on their own and into the unknown. I'm Reagan Avon, and this is the In Your Business podcast. So welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Of course.
I have lots of questions for you. So, first of all, you go by Ketchup.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you don't get this question ever, but why do you go by Ketchup?
Ketchup is it's a long story, but I can make a long story short. When I moved up here from West Virginia originally, I lived by myself, and I started meeting some friends, and we started throwing some parties, and that led to my friends staying with me, and my mother still supported me then, so she had like Sam's Club choice, and she would always buy me the 364 ounces of ketchup, so they were always in the refrigerator, so the homies kept on opening the fridge and be like, damn bro, you got a lot of ketchup. And each time we went through a drive-thru or something, I'd always ask for extra ketchup because they never give you enough. So they just started calling me Ketchup.
That's hilarious.
The party thing I was just talking about came into play, and just more people just started calling me Ketchup, and I had no idea who they were. Like, what's up, Ketchup? I'm like, damn, what's up?
So it just stuck. It was one of those things.
And to what we're going to be talking about, I'm a graffiti artist at heart, so I knew I wanted to be a professional artist also. Like, well, there's a mix there, but I wanted to be known as a professional artist, so I didn't necessarily want to use the name that I would use as a graffiti artist. And it was catchy. So
that is catchy. You don't forget it.
You don't.
For sure.
Yeah.
It
was silly. I was like, I don't know if I really want to do this. Like,
well, Aaron and I run into people where they're like, oh, you know Ketchup?
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah.
Yeah, they don't know White Justin, how many of those there is in the world.
No, it's true.
So it's
I have a very odd name. Not a lot of Reagans out there, and so
it's
people...
Spelled
I know, and it's spelled
really
weird too.
Trying to find her email each time, I'm like, damn it.
I know. But to your point, it's got excellent search engine optimization. Nobody else has my name. I can get my own domain for my website.
Yeah.
And it's almost like share, right? Like people just call me by my first name.
Yeah. No, it sticks.
That's awesome. So thanks for clearing that up because I was always curious.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So when did you get into art? Has art always been something you've done as a kid, or you just kind of found your passion in art as an adult, or when did that happen?
I have always been into art. My brother was a good artist. My cousin, they both drew a lot. They never took it further than that, but they would draw realistic stuff, and it would just blow my mind. And I can remember even being in elementary school getting pulled out of class to do the bulletin boards down the hallway. We did a big Chinese dragon one time. But yeah, I've always been into art. Art's always moved me. It's creative stuff. And then, later on in middle school and high school, when they actually had more art classes, I definitely tend to want to be there almost all day, If it was up to me, I would sit in the art class all day and not did the other classes.
Everybody who I know who's super into art says that exact same thing.
Most teachers would just, by the end of high school, it was just draw, dude. They you know what I mean? They would be working on stuff, and I would end up drawing around my essay, and my whole essay would be this mess. Yeah, I've always liked art, for sure. So
with that kind of mentality, as you're going off after high school, where did you head? What did you do next?
Well, I tried colleges.
Where did you go?
I went to West Virginia University, but that was the number one party school in the nation at the time. It was just bad. I lived with high school friends in a big house, and it just didn't work out. And I also had to take a bunch of classes to try to get me into the artist program that I needed. I needed a few things that I didn't have coming out of high school. Yeah, that didn't work out. And then after West Virginia University, I kind of took a year break, and then I met a girl, and I moved up here to Columbus, and then I realized I could go to CCAD, and I've actually always wanted to go because they came to my high school and talked to us about it before.
Oh, that's cool.
I probably could have got a scholarship early on, but
sure.
Just knowledge and what I had, being from a little bit of a smaller town and stuff like that. Like, when you hear those type of prices to go to school, me and my parents, we were like, oh, no, you go to West Virginia University.
Mm-hmm.
But then it ended up working out anyway.
So you went to CCAD for how long?
I went there for 3 to 4 years. It was a good experience. It got me here. I definitely don't regret it, but at the same time, I feel like I knew what I wanted to do, but didn't know what I want to do, and I thought I had to be a professional artist, so industrial design or engineer, architect, those were my options, and that's what I was going for. But then I realized being in industrial design, we were designing toaster ovens and redesigning microwaves and everything that I would redesign to make fit for your hand or your ear or whatever it be. They would always say it was sculpturish. Like, this is a sculpture. This is not necessarily design. So it was limited if you ask me for my creativity.
Yeah, I'm always curious about people who are super into art and then they go into these kind of formal educational programs and what that does, or what motivates people to kind of go into these kind of formal educational programs, because they can introduce you to a lot of great people.
Yeah, for sure.
But they kind of push you into like this realistic version of monetizing your talent.
Yeah, super monetized. So I branched off and just went into fine art for a year, and it's exactly what I wanted to do, but then I started missing classes because I wanted to paint. And people were hiring me to paint.
Oh, awesome. Already.
Yeah.
So how did you get into that? How did you start making money?
Just knowing people, just literally mingling with people. The party situation stuff that I was talking about turned into 1,500 people block parties and people I worked for and whatnot. I just, some head shops, some hookah shops and stuff like that. They wanted some stuff painted. And I've painted right out of high school. I painted our junior high back home. So I got this, I got the feel for making some money off of what I like to do early. I just, graffiti, nah, not at all. That ain't, and that's a topic for sure, how graffiti has changed from just 10 years ago, how it was not wanted anywhere.
Yeah. And now people are begging street artists to come paint their walls. So what happened? Why is that a transition now?
Well, I feel like there's always been there's been crews and people that want to try to make money, even in the 80s and stuff like that, for, when there was subway art going on, people were still kind of wanting walls done here and there. So it's always been a thing, but it's never really been what it is now until I feel the social media presence that we have, the abilities that we have with social media, I mean.
And you've been pretty foundational in establishing communities in the art scene in Columbus, and I wonder what the difference, I was thinking about this, what is really the difference between this kind of grassroots organic community you've established and some of these more formalized established networks of artists?
So what we're trying to do is, I want to give real artists real platforms. I don't want to ask, a lot of these other companies and people that are doing this want you to send in sketches. They want you to send in proposals. They have a committee that agree, no, we don't like that one, no, we like this one, no, we don't like that one. And these people really might not have any knowledge or even be around that same age as us. Typically, they're not. So with us, we give you the space to be able to self-express. That's it. Like, if you want to come paint whatever you want to paint, I mean, it's got to be public friendly. It is in the public eyes to a point.
Sure.
But yeah, we don't ask for that. We actually just try to give a platform and the supplies at a location to where you can come be you. There isn't really any of that. There isn't anywhere in the city that gives people a wall to be able to just come paint whatever they want to paint.
Sure.
They're really worried, or they want to have their say in what goes up. And that's built, like the way they do it, they build a niche community. Ours is niche also, but we're trying to build something that's completely broad. Like, just anybody is welcome. You, like with our markets and stuff we want to do. I want to do an open market to where it's not just vintage clothing. It's not just these hip people that are in the scene. Mm-hmm. That's only hanging out there. Like,
sure.
If we're on the hilltop, I would love to have 100 hilltop residents over there selling their jewelry that nobody knew that they made, or coming to show off what they have to offer. So we're trying to build a real community.
Yeah.
Without being judgmental about anything when it comes to what you're creating.
Yeah, I mean, the difference really is this, like, guidelines, regulations, rules, and it sounds like they're kind of unspoken in your community. There's probably some guidelines that everyone abides by.
Yeah, for sure.
But there's not this strict, well, they have to abide by these specific characteristics in order to be involved.
Yeah, we call that wall etiquette.
Sure. What's wall etiquette?
Wall etiquette is something you learn, which a lot of people don't learn, is you learn it through graffiti, real graffiti, illegal graffiti. Mm-hmm. You learn not to go paint next to the guy that just did a giant piece and you just did something quick and dumb. You learn, you learn to... There's rules in this. There's rules that don't necessarily have to be followed, but it's respect.
Sure.
So like on our back wall, for instance, that wall, we try to teach people to come over there and paint over what is already there. Or if I was to paint over another artist, make sure I cannot tell that artist was ever there.
Sure.
Just so there's no disrespect to that artist that painted there before. And then our wood walls that we have, our free walls, it's kind of the opposite. I just literally come let loose. If you got kids, it could be a masterpiece on there, and it doesn't really matter. But yeah, there's respect in this for sure.
How do you basically maintain the vibe that you're trying to keep with what you're doing?
A bunch of rules
right.
and stuff like
that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's somewhat difficult because there's not only art and stuff going on at our shop, because like we're building a community. There's people that enjoy this, that come there with their cars, and there's things that you kind of can't stop, but you can try. People come there and do donuts, burnouts and stuff like that in their car and get cool pics.
Sure.
We can't have people back there doing burnouts.
Right.
You're going to ruin it for everybody.
Right.
But there's, I should have a sign out there with some but it goes back to that question.
Yeah.
If I have a sign with rules, is it the same vibe?
Right.
And it's not. So we could have some polite regulations, hey, make sure you at least shout us out, the info of the shop, maybe some of the wall etiquette stuff that I was talking about. But yeah, there's a fine line there for sure.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It's turning into it's a private place, it's private property, but it's basically becoming a community park
Right.
And how do I stop everything?
Right.
I don't.
Right.
So we hope for the best.
I love that answer. I mean, it's just such a delicate balance between letting things kind of go wild so that you can experience kind of this raw and authentic experience, but also reining it in so that it's not ruined for anybody who is expressing themselves.
Yeah, you have to be, like I have to be on top of, if the car club comes out there and sit and they enjoy the pictures and stuff like that. I check the grounds. I come back there the next morning, see if they left trash.
Yeah.
If they left trash, I hit them up immediately. Like, yo, what are you doing? You know what I mean? You guys are going to ruin this. So you have to be on top of things.
Right.
And you have to be just, I'm a straightforward person. I don't really beat around the bush with anything. So, I don't have a problem saying it if there is a problem.
Right.
But as a community, most of it's through the graffiti world. Most people already know the respect there, so they kind of come there and tread lightly anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are a lot of unspoken rules that you just need to start kind of getting aware of, especially as you probably get a lot of people from that graffiti world that understand that respect.
Yeah,
culture.
And there's a lot that obviously don't that are getting into it, or just artists and just want to paint with spray paint now, which is a lot.
Yeah, so you're talking about your shop, and I want to talk about how you started your shop.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you go from being an artist doing some murals to saying, you know what, I'm going to start my own company and my own shop and provide these supplies to people? I mean, it's one thing to want to curate a community of artists and gather people together who like to do the same thing. It's another thing to start your own business.
Right.
So how did you come to that conclusion that that's something you wanted to do and something Columbus needed?
As a kid, I've literally always thought, I can't even lie, as a kid, I've always thought how cool it would be to have a graffiti shop.
Really?
Have like a train going around the roof and like these thoughts. Never in my mind where I ever thought that it would have happened. But it basically started, us as graffiti artists necessarily weren't getting invited out to certain things then when it wasn't hot. We basically had to make our own lane. And I started getting walls through mingling with different business owners and working for people and just trying to get us walls to be able to come together as a crew and just go paint and enjoy ourselves. And of course that gives back to whatever community that's in, and people light up, enjoy it, drive by. So you acknowledge the fact that there's something there that is making people happy, even with us just doing what we do for our fun. Right. So I did that. I started getting some walls around town. I wanted to paint. And then me and a few friends started a festival called 2x2 Hip Hop Fest. And that kind of kick-started things in gear a little bit for me wanting to put supplies into people's and friends' hands.
How do you just start a festival, by the way? That was like a very casual statement you said.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll talk about that one in a minute. It helped. Basically, I was getting so many walls and stuff around town that we were painting. I needed paint. Mm-hmm. Only place to get it around was an art supply store. Don't necessarily want to say their name on here because I don't want to give them love. But they charged a lot of money for cans. A lot of money. Ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Or, you went to Home Depot and you got Rust-Oleum or Krylon. Some of the non-artistic precision paint cans. But really we just wanted to, I started in the trunk. I started selling paint out of my trunk. Literally. I met a friend, my homie Monster Steve, ridiculously talented artist, local artist. he was using the brand Cobra, the brand that we sell and ride by. And he put me onto that, and I used it, and I realized, like, man, this is better than, like, the top-notch brand that we can get right now. So I hit them up. He gave me their contact, and I realized that they were a small writer-owned business. So it wasn't a giant corporation yet.
Yeah.
So they also had a lot of ties into Ohio. Some of the artists and graffiti writers in Ohio, they had ties with them. Family, basically. So they were ready, you know, they helped me out. They were like, cool, let's do this, dude. You want to sell paint in Ohio? Like, we got your back. So we started selling paint, and we started selling out of the trunk. We started throwing more jams, started getting more walls. You know, one thing led to another. I kind of realized, like, oh, it'd be cool to have a space. And, you know, if it don't work, I use the paint myself. So it's like, I'm just building this relationship with this paint company, and I'm getting it at a lower price, you know, than anybody else would. So it made sense for me regardless at the time, because I had that many jobs coming in. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll order this and take the risk. And then I took the risk, and I ended up selling paint that I needed for a job, and it's just already sold. And I'm like, damn, I need to order some more paint. So then that, you know, it just one thing led to another, and my barber that I went to at the time, he had a spot. Our last spot was on Indianola. It was it was the size of this room, basically. It was a little bigger. And he was moving out. He was like, yo, it's cheap. Got a little storefront if you want. So I did. I took it, opened up, and since then it's been awesome. It's literally, we've had so much support. It's, you know, it takes longer if you're doing this all from the bottom, you know, you don't have awesome pockets and money and financial issues to be able to support it all. So it takes longer, but at the same time, I feel like the stuff that takes longer like that is more at heart.
Sure.
And if it works for a few years like that, and it's growing without a bunch of money involved with it, then it's got to be good. You know, we're going to be straight.
Was there ever a moment where you were like, this whole kind of business structure thing is daunting, you know, and maybe from a scalability perspective, there's a lot that goes into building a business, right? I mean, you gotta think about marketing, you gotta think about inventory, you gotta think about supply and demand. Was there ever a time in your thought process where you're like, this is really daunting and not sure that you wanted to keep moving forward? For sure.
Luckily, it involves what I absolutely love to do, which is spray painting. So, you know, I've been learning all of that pretty much on my own as we go. I'm becoming more professional and more grown in a sense. But yeah, there's been those thoughts, but at the same time, I'm still painting. So like, I'm not doing something that I wouldn't want to do.
Sure.
So to me, it's worth it. And then it's literally shown that it's growing, you know, pretty quickly to the point of like, all right, it's worth it. Let's do this. Then now I'm getting to the point of where, okay, cool, you gotta hire somebody else, dude. You gotta hire somebody to do this marketing. You gotta hire somebody to do this website. Finding time is insane. The more busier you get, the more busier the shop gets. Having a kid, it's like figuring out time right now. You know, I took Mondays and Tuesdays off from the shop so I could have those times to be outside of the shop painting, and I can still be in the shop, not necessarily have to hire somebody yet. And it's worked, but now, you know, the last year or so for sure, I've had to hire for sure.
And those moments, and you just mentioned something really interesting too. You said you dedicated time to be outside of your business and outside of your shop. I assume that's really important because you can probably get really tied up in just kind of the operational business side of all of this. So how do you keep those two things separate? I know one way you're saying is like dedicating time, but is there anything else intentionally you do to make sure you're still dedicating the time to the art, not just the business?
Yeah, it's an everyday struggle on trying to figure out if I'm a businessman or I'm an artist. It's those two are very competing with each other. Even when, it comes to decision makings or how you talk to someone or how I come off now, or all of that matters because I have a business now.
Right.
So, I started my own business so I can be me and nothing but me, and not let anybody tell me any different.
Right.
And that was the whole point.
It's
I still ride by that,
yeah,
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if it gets to the point of this, and this, like, it's so bad, you're going to see me. You know what I mean? But definitely, you have to be professional, and you have to think way ahead. I feel like I have to think way ahead now.
Is there anyone in your network that you go to for advice on business-related questions or challenges that you face, or is it really just like, this is a problem, I can see this is a problem, and time to do my research?
So I have had a few mentors for sure, but they're not like anywhere in the realm of what I do.
Sure.
They've been developers, people that I've worked for that we've just bonded and built this relationship with, interior designers.
Mm-hmm.
That has definitely helped me business-wise, watching how they do their stuff and how professional they are, or how I need to be when I'm working for them. That's in how happy they are at the end result of working with me, not only the art, but like myself as a person.
Sure.
So, that goes a long way in owning your own business, I feel, and how you come across. So, yeah, I've definitely had more, not in the past, but more recently, some mentors that have helped me get a little bit more professional with my stuff, for sure. If that answers that question.
It does. It absolutely does. That the reason I ask that is because typically as businesses scale, there's so many things. You have to you get to this crossroad where you're like, well, I can learn how to do this thing, or I can outsource it.
Yeah, or I can outsource it, right.
And deciding what you want to learn and what you want to do yourself versus outsourcing it and growing it that way is a huge challenge, especially when you're the visionary of what it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
So that's why I asked, just trying to figure out, like, if you are trying to scale it and business is good, which is great, how do you do that, especially with such kind of a sensitive thing to brand and authenticity, and maintaining that as it gets bigger? Or is scaling not even, a goal?
No, it's a goal for sure. I'm definitely, like I said, like since we've moved to our new location, we've got a lot more space. We've got a lot more opportunity than my last little spot.
The new location's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
it really is. It's. I've got an awesome landlord that lets me pretty much do what we please, and it is a beautiful thing.
The location of where you are, was that a factor? Were you specifically looking to be in Hilltop? Like, why did you end up there?
No, So I was talking about how we threw 2x2 Hip Hop Fest.
Right.
And then that started at a place called the Rice Paddy.
Mm-hmm.
On 11th and Grant near the fairgrounds on campus.
Oh, okay.
And that place was a motorcycle scrapyard, junkyard type of place that had a really cool vibe to it. So it was perfect for an underground style hip hop graffiti festival, and it worked amazingly. And but as you know, Columbus is growing faster than wild weeds. So it is literally, all the developments have been trying to buy him out over there for years. And he's a smart man, and he waited, finally got bought out. He moved out to the west side. We've already built this relationship with him. We've already painted his walls. We've stopped some of this, because walls used to get tagged a lot too. And the city would fine you for stuff like that if you don't clean it up. So, he's seen that the fact that if you actually let these guys have this wall and they do masterpieces, there's respect there and it won't get gone over now. And he don't even have to worry about this anymore.
I think that's a really important
piece. And then
piece.
the community grows and people love it and he gets more business. He bought the building that we're at now and immediately knew that he wanted me out there because he was trying to take some heat off of him. He didn't necessarily want to be a pick and pull anymore, like people interactive with people. He just wanted to do it online. So he was like, I get that guy out there. Like they're going to be loud, bright. So they'll take all the all the heat from him. So that's how we got that spot. He invited us out because of the relationship that we built through the festival. And once I seen the spot, we actually we moved the festival there at that location the year prior to me moving there. So we got to see, I got to experience the location already before I even had the shop. So once I knew that was there, we had these walls, it was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
There was a lot of work that went into that place. It was an old abandoned, it was the Hillcrest bowling alley.
Oh, fair. I think I read that somewhere.
It was ran through for sure. It was awesome. Definitely. But I was worried for sure on moving out to the hilltop. You think as a business owner, you gotta be in this hot spot. You gotta have foot traffic. You have to have these things that you're thinking about for the future and the growth of your business. And I kind of already knew that we had a cool community built. Mm-hmm. We have this niche amount of people that were already coming to buy paint. And then you can also think of your competitor. They only have a spot that's even further than me. So it's like, I think it's worth the risk. Look how much walls we have. Look how much space we have. It's in the hilltop too. So like we have had multiple walls around the city that have, gotten some bad pub because it's graffiti.
Sure.
And like we go back to the fact of me not asking the community and asking a bunch of people that don't necessarily matter on what we're creating. They want to know that some of these walls, some of these more high traffic area walls. But I still figure out a way to slide in there and like work with the business owner that's there, and they see our work and they're like, yeah, do it, of course.
Yeah, sure. I think there's actually a pretty unique characteristic about your business that creates this almost exclusive community. And given the location that you're in, like, mm-hmm. Is foot traffic really something that you...
It is actually. Like,
it is?
Yeah, like, so, there is a bus stop right off the shop. And I didn't think, I was like, I'm not going to get a bunch of people off of the bus stop into an art shop. But at the same time, we really have.
Wow.
And then you can't drive by the shop without like, whoa.
Right.
What is that?
I mean, yeah, for sure.
So it's not necessarily foot, but car traffic. People are stopping by just to see what it is. They'll pop their head in and be like, hey, what is this? And then they'll end up talking and end up buying a hat, or buying something or bringing their kids back to paint.
Right. So you have, and that brings me to another point too, you have more than just paint.
Yeah.
What else do you have in your shop?
Yeah, so we sell, literally, like when I go back to what I was saying, it's a platform shop. Everything in my shop is a local-based product. Sure, we have some around-the-world artist prints or some pieces that are in my collection that I show there, but mostly everything for sale is a local piece of art, is a local bag, a local jewelry, local glassware. I have friends that blow glass. It's, there's really, we call it creative goods, and there really is nothing that we cannot sell.
Very cool.
If it's made from someone that's being creative.
So going back to the marketplace, you mentioned kind of these creative goods that you're selling at your shop, right? Mm-hmm. So what kind of people are coming to the market that you're putting on?
Okay, yeah. So the people that are coming out, it started with a lot of us just artists, just showing our work, our prints, tattoo friends coming out and showing what they have. And then it was always kind of a little niche, and that's what I didn't want. I want it to be more of an open market. I've traveled like to Mexico and a few other countries, and they have their markets there are really different than like a market here in Columbus or Clintonville, or you can go to New York and see one. But I was like full open market, like come by if you got a garage sale that you wanted to get rid of stuff that you're local, like come by, sell your stuff. But basically it's the end result is we're trying to have an open market for people to be able to sell produce, crafts, goods, art, whatever it be. I don't really, just how we don't discriminate on the wall, I do not want to discriminate on the market side of things.
Sure.
I want you to be able to come here and possibly buy the most randomest beach towel that you've ever, just super random. Like when we go to Mexico, like with my wife, and we go to markets there, you can buy socks, you can go buy corn, you can buy music, you can buy jewelry. So to me, that was freaking awesome. So why not have that there? And if we already mingle and have this community of creative people, why not just sell everything if we can?
Sure. Is there a certain like vibe you're going for? Like, is there going to be like food, music, that kind of stuff?
Yeah,
or what
it's
is
full scale festival style market. Like we are, you pull up out front, we'll have food trucks, food vendors, and then we have 3 huge parking lots in the back. So when you pull, you'll bend the corner, and then that's when all the booths start. And it'll be literally, it'll be a mix of, that day will be a lookout jam going on and a market going on. So 15 plus artists will all be painting live on the walls.
Very cool.
And that's what we started with. So it's
Yeah.
like, if we're already doing this and people are coming out to see this, why not each one of those artists that are painting get a free spot to be able to sell their work?
Sure, yeah.
And then now that I've learned that I have this location, why not start to charge a lower fee than anywhere in the city to be able to come set up a booth and
Sure.
showcase your work? And that's what my mindset is at. Like, cool, we can benefit off this. The community can benefit off this. More people can get their art out there. More people can be known. It's already like a networking hub at the shop. Like you come paint a wall, you meet someone else to paint with the next time. So we're building friendships, relationships, careers. People are starting to realize that they can
Collaborators.
And
Yeah.
people are starting to realize that they can, make money off of this, or they have this talent that they didn't know that they necessarily had. To be able to, some people, not to get off topic, but some people are very passionate about this and don't want to make money off of it. I'm
Right.
very passionate about it, but I just decided to do that.
Sure.
Some people come to the shop to release. There's a lot of that at the shop. A lot of people come there to get away from their everyday, or to get away from the job or family, whatever it be. So you have to kind of realize not everybody wants to be a professional at this, but if I can somehow show you that you can, then, and why not? Like, if you can make some money off of it and do it up.
Yeah, it is it's an interesting dichotomy, really, between trying to have that release. There's some things that people keep sacred, right?
Yeah.
This is a sacred thing. Like we talked about earlier, your mindset changes. And so some people don't want to dilute that experience with...
And graffiti is that.
I love that.
And that's, it can get sideways with me on that, because, certain graffiti artists, real graffiti artists might not appreciate what exactly I'm doing.
Sure.
Because of the illegal criminal aspect of it, of the freedom of it.
Sure.
But at the same time, social media and all of this stuff all over start growing. More people are seeing it. It's becoming way more acceptable. to do this as a career, or become work for yourself, basically.
You're really providing this kind of foundational platform, and for you take on the burden of organizing all of that and putting that together. Mm-hmm. But it also probably exposes you to a lot of opportunities and people that you meet as well. Yeah,
for sure. We don't necessarily want to help make or show artists. We want to help with being able. I don't want to be a manager, but like at the same time, if your crew or if you got a question to ask, or you support the shop and you come by, like if you got a job, I don't want in your pocket, but I would like to be able to help your pocket, so that can in return help mine in the end.
Sure.
By you going and doing this job, but they found you through something that I organized. They invited this artist out to do this job, but they found him through the Lookout, whether that was said or known or anything. I don't, let's figure out how much you need to charge for that, instead of saying, I'll just do it for paint, or I'll just do it for $350.
Sure.
And then that hurts the game for us professional artists that are trying to do this and get paid what we really deserve for our talents and how many years we did this, and then that falls into the story of, real graffiti artists putting in the effort and the time and the work illegally in the beginning to even be able to make it there, to earn that. And, that's where social media and stuff like that and some of this street art culture stuff that's been really booming has kind of affected that. And it's kind of, you can be on the same pedestal as somebody that's been doing it for 30 years and you just started it last month with your mom and now you're a muralist, with social media, if you and your mom are good at marketing, you now can be on the same pedestal as someone like myself that's went to jail for this, that's been in trouble for this, that's earned
sure.
Where we're at. And there's a weird line there that is being crossed, for sure, that needs fixed. But at the same time, I love seeing people eat off of what they want to do.
Yeah.
So I can't be mad at the hustle, you know what I mean? Like if that's, if you made it and you got the job, you got the job. But at the same time, if I can be a friend to you and help you out, help you make more money for you, if you want to make money off of it, that'll help me in the long run, because you ain't charging super cheap. There's so many people that want to do this right now too, that basically do it for nothing, just for the wall.
Right.
And we do that. But when we do that, the Lookout jams. I make sure that they know that this is our wall. We're not doing a theme for your business. We're doing us. And if you want a theme or you want a cell phone store mural, you know what I mean? We're not doing a jam now. Now we need to talk about payment.
Yeah. Well, you're setting a market value for what you're able to provide.
Yeah.
I mean, you can set, if you're willing, if on average people are like, I'll do this for $20. Mm-hmm. You're setting a tone, especially with art. I mean, art is such a
we're already bitching every day about not getting paid or starving artists and shit. So
it's already a subjective thing, right? How do you value and price it?
Mm-hmm.
So to your point, I mean, what you've been able to establish, there's value in that. You're providing that platform.
For sure, yeah. I mean, it comes consulting. It's basically what we're getting down to. But if I can build a community through my shop and these people are supporting my shop, you're buying paint from me to do that job.
Right.
And I can still help you make it a little bit more money on yourself. We're all winning.
Right.
100%.
It's funny because I come from like the analytical business side of things. Mm-hmm. I'm not an artist by any means. And in those types of arrangements, there's very clear-cut types of contracts for those things. For example, if I introduce you to somebody and you sell it, I'm going to get a percentage of your sales.
Yeah.
Like, it's very clean cut.
Yeah.
That's just how it goes.
You know that. They know that before they even, 100%.
So it's just interesting the difference in making, art and finding value off of that art and selling that, setting the market price for that, and the set of expectations around it.
It's all, to me, it's kind of all client based. I love doing small stuff for small people. I love kid rooms, man cave, they're fun. And you can be fair. And,
yeah.
But, when it comes to these bigger companies, corporate companies that are hiring, and you have to do everything by the T, and you got to watch your back.
Right.
And even, I've noticed myself, say I'm trying to help people figure out what to charge for something like that. I've been in meetings with big time corporate companies, and they're trying to make our budgets. Like they think they know, what we should get out of this, and then now I'm teaching them how to make a budget to pay artists. Or I go out to a meeting because somebody wants something painted, and they called me because they knew they were going to get a professional quote about it, or an idea. And I go out there, tell them all these cool ideas, and tell them it's $15,000, and now they call around the whole city on trying to figure out who can do this for cheaper.
Sure.
So that's, you learn those professional things as you go. Like, it's $100 to talk. Like
for sure.
Like, if you want me, to pick my brain on what you need and stuff, like don't waste my time. So basically, if you do waste my time, which there's a lot of that, and then I go back to the fact that everybody wants to be a muralist right now. So there's a lot of people that want to do it for nothing. So we go back to what I was talking about. I don't want my team doing that.
Sure.
For sure.
Yeah. And
if I can help other people also, sweet. But that's, people do that left and right. It's funny. I mean, we just had that happen to us. And the thing is, the people called every single one of my friends. And then all of them, friends are starting to hit me up yo, man, there's this job, blah, 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 blah. And it's this much money. And I'm like, yeah, call them back and tell them it's this price. And that's it. They're like, I talked back to a friend, and he said it's the proper price.
Well,
if you can get everybody to be on the same page, they end up hitting me back, and we did the job.
Sure. There are literally consultants in the business world that pay people, that are paid to help them price their products. Again, in the business world, there's so many more rules, regulations, and operations, but there are at least expectations too around payment and value. And art is such a subjective thing. So it's being a business person, business-oriented person, and also an artist has to be such kind of a clash of yin and yang.
It is. It for sure is. I guess I'm doing it okay. But it's the more I grow, the more I see this.
Yeah.
100%. The more I keep growing, the more I see this.
So what does the future look like for you and Lookout Supply?
It looks, we're not going nowhere, that's for sure. And then hopefully we could, make our space, what we have now, into a full, a community park.
Yeah.
I hope the space can grow. It's been a goal of mine since I've seen a little bit of growth. Man, how cool would it be to have shops in all 3 Cs of Ohio? And
very cool.
Someone else that's not in our culture, seeing that this is so huge right now.
Sure.
That have millions of dollars to just open up a shop right now and really kind of try to compete with me, and they probably could, but at the same time they don't have what we have. They don't have this community of people. They might build one also, but it's not going to be the same family driven, local, let's support each other and grow together type of atmosphere. It's going to be a one person trying to do it. And then that brings up something also with me and with friends and the shop and stuff like that, like, I can only do so much that is kind of community based and not, whether it looks like it or not, whatever I do, because I have a shop and a business, it's always going to look like I'm doing something for the business.
Sure. No, I get that.
And all bullshit aside, there is that mentality there. But at the same time, I'm passionate about what I do as a graffiti writer. So there's a weird line there also.
Mm-hmm.
On making sure, like the homies and people know that this wouldn't have happened without all of us.
Right.
But at the same time, the shop is kind of the direction that's getting us there.
Yeah, I mean, there's this underlying mechanism of organization, of this kind of like foundation, and the stronger that foundation is, the more it can be sustained.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to feed into that in order to continue growing what it is you're trying to grow.
Yeah, if you want to continue to grow.
Right.
Like, consistently growth.
Yep.
100%. Everything, you can do it for the good, you can do it for the people, but like at the same time, if you're trying to be a business owner, it has to be for your business also.
That's right.
And if you can weigh those and people can see the respect there, you can have enough respect in the community, I feel like it outweighs he's just trying to do that for the shop.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty evident that your kind of authentic roots from where you came from shines through in that. Whereas if somebody were to try to compete on a large scale, that wouldn't be the same. It just wouldn't be the same.
Right. It wouldn't be smart for them neither.
Well, Ketchup, thanks for being here.
No, this was awesome. This was really cool.
Hopefully you enjoyed the chat.
I did. And the drink was amazing.
Oh, good. I'm glad. If people are trying to find out more about your shop, Lookout Supply, or the marketplace you're trying to do, how can they find out more about you?
We're on social media platforms, Instagram and Facebook at Lookout Supply. Website is still in the works at the moment. We're definitely going to have a page up soon with information and being able to sell paint. We won't have all of our products at the moment, but yeah, you can find us on your social media at the moment.
You're going you're going partially digital.
Yeah, I've low-key learned that I didn't need to. I've learned that I didn't need to.
Yeah.
But at the same time, being a business owner, I mean, talking about growth, I'm completely missing out on this worldwide, platform that I could be possibly selling to, or we could be getting invited to.
Sure.
I feel we do good, really good, without it. But at the same time, yeah, definitely.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, this is a huge accomplishment. I mean, your business is awesome. Your shop is amazing. I love going to it and seeing what's there. So,
yeah, couldn't do it without everybody. Couldn't do it without the homies in the community.
Yeah, they're lucky to have you and other people like you who help build that community up.
Thanks for joining us for episode 5 of the In Your Business podcast. Ketchup, thank you so much for being on the show. And of course, shout out to the team, Derek, Molly, and Beth. We hope to see you next week for episode 6.
Second video.
All right.
Cool.
Actually, I like doing that. That helps me right off the top. Good. Fix me. Can I do it once more and just start talking?
I have a clapboard too. You really want to do that?
Scene. So I'm going to do this 33 times, which 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. I didn't really count, but it was close to that.
Every episode, Derek, our mixologist, crafts a unique drink for our guest. Stick around to find out how to make it.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Derek Reno again. I am the founder and creative director for the Reno Reserve, as well as the beverage director for Echo Spirits, right here where we're shooting in Grandview, Ohio, or at least on the edge of Grandview, Ohio. This week, I'm pretty excited to put this cocktail together. I happen to be peripherally aware of Justin, who is the guest of honor this week with Reagan, aka Ketchup more often known as Ketchup. I'm aware of one of Justin's pieces over there representing the Hilltop called the Peace Train that I have seen before. I'm a big street art fan, so I was happy to put this together for this week's In Your Business podcast. The cocktail is going to be called the Vieux from the Peace Train, and Vieux we're going to spell Vieux because this cocktail is semi-inspired by the Vieux, which is one of the greatest classic cocktails of New Orleans. The Vieux is the actual French name for the French Quarter that if you've ever visited, possibly the greatest city you can visit in the entire country, that's what that area is named after. The Vieux is typically a rye whiskey, cognac, vermouth, Benedictine, which is this great French herbal liqueur we'll mention here shortly, and a couple bitters. This cocktail is going to be a kind of slightly rearranged version of that. We're going to skip the rye completely. We're going to use cognac, and then that interesting splash is going to be these 3 other ingredients that we're going to add to it. This will be the first stirred cocktail, I believe, that we've done for the podcast yet, and we'll go ahead and start it. So the aforementioned cognac, of course, from France, brandy, great distilled spirit. We're going to skip the rye. We're going to go an entire 2 ounces of this cognac. For today's shoot, we're going to use Salignac, which is a unique cognac in that the brandies, the cognacs in this are all very young ones that spend their entire time aging together. Usually there are a whole variety of cognacs from different eras of aging that are then blended together to kind of create the final spirit. This brand uses young ones and then lets those age in the oak the entire time. Instead of the vermouth, we're going to go ahead and replace this with Amaro Lucano. I love this. This is a very Gentian-based Amaro. A lot more levels to it than just a simple sweet vermouth. And you're going to notice this. We're just going to put a 1/2 ounce, but it will stand out in this cocktail for sure. And then the one thing we're going to keep the same is the Benedictine. This is a 500-year-old spirit made in this palatial palace in France. It's got 27 herbs and liqueurs, little touch of honey. I was telling the story, this recipe was once lost in the history of time, but someone literally discovered it inside of a book in the library in this palace in the Normandy area of France and saved it. So we still have Benedictine. That is just a 1/4 ounce. And then to finish it off, we made, these are Ketchup Bitters. Not made from ketchup. These are made, this is a proprietary blend. This is not house made like our previous ones. This is Aromatic bitters, Peychaud bitters, and a little bit of ginger. But if we can catch that here, as far as I can tell, it looks ketchup worthy to me. So we're gonna do an entire 2 droppers of this guy. And for the first time ever, we are gonna stir a cocktail on here. If you're stirring cocktails at home, or if you're making this cocktail at home, I always use the kind of range of a spirituous cocktail, stirring it 30 or so times, give or take. We have our glass preset here with some crystal clear ice that was made just for Ketchup's cocktail. We're gonna pour that right over top, no need to double strain. We're gonna put a dehydrated lemon, but I on this cocktail either do a peel, do a twist, and get those lemon oils are critical to this cocktail. You really wanna have that expression on the end of it. It's gonna be a little harsh without it. You can also do this, which is lemon oil expression. This is exactly the oils from it. But that right there is the Vieux from the Peace Train. Cheers.